So, Mr. Caplan, over to you.
Thank you. First of all, it's an honor to be here. I don't have prepared testimony, and that was not discussed with me, but I'm prepared to discuss a little bit about the work that went into my book on constitutional brinksmanship, how the amendment clause is supposed to work, and then take any questions you might have. My information was that you were interested primarily in two areas: the runaway issue and the story behind the 17th Amendment. And I'll just say briefly that I deal with both of those in my book at some detail, and would like to point out that when people talk about a runaway convention, they generally conflate and confuse two different issues. Number one is whether Article 5 as drafted contemplates a wide-ranging convention or a convention that was that would be taking up specific points. And the second question is, if the constitutional convention under Article 5 is so limited, then can that limitation be enforced as a matter of law? And my answer to both questions is yes. If you look at the sequence of drafting of Article 5 as it was in the Philadelphia Convention, it was the first working draft, Article 19 of the first working draft of the Committee of Detail on, I believe it was August 6th, Philadelphia. The draft said, on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the states for an amendment of this Constitution. And then it ended up being a convention for proposing amendments. And that clause was specifically to denote what type of convention it was, because there were many conventions, over 100, during the colonial and Confederation Revolutionary period, and there were conventions for different types, and usually handbills and documents saying, well, convention for negotiating with the Indians, convention for dealing with British taxes or whatever. That's a purpose clause. So the Article 5 as drafted dealt with a convention that was held to take up specific matters. But the second issue is the one I think that concerns most people. What happens if a convention is called on an amendment to reverse Citizens United or balancing the budget? What happens if the convention is held, proposes the called for amendment was called for, and then goes overboard, proposes things like banning abortion and other issues? And the thing that, the issue that people don't understand is that there are many major checks on that proposal power, beginning with Congress. Every amendment that is proposed, whether it's by Congress itself or by a convention, is transmitted to the states for ratification by Congress, and Congress has to choose the mode of ratification. And obviously, if an amendment is outside the scope delineated for that convention, Congress is able to just sit on it and not transmit it, and instead it's a dead letter right then and there. Or the other way to look at it is to say, well, any amendment that comes out of a convention or Congress is just a proposal without the force of law. 38 states need to ratify. So it can't overwrite the Constitution. It can't rescind the Bill of Rights. Whatever it turns out, it's only a proposal and needs to be ratified by 38 states. And just as a matter of common sense and the political reality of the situation, any convention that's held under Article 5 is going to generate a lot of public attention. It's going to be hard to hide, an extra amendment. And 38 states have to go along. And the third is the court system. And this was something not really envisioned by the framers because there was no strong federal judiciary at that time. Article 3, it was just words on paper at that time. But now you have a court system that can handle challenges to an unauthorized amendment. It can issue injunctions, it can issue stay orders, it can strike down a specific case that was developed under that amendment. In short, there are several sturdy checks on the Runaway Convention that people ignore, either as a good faith matter of ignorance or fear mongering or political and ideological leanings.
Thank you.